anyone who I haven't met, my name's Holly Kelleher. I'm an Inclusive Trading Associate. Just to explain the relationship between inclusive trading and BASE, if anyone's unaware, BASE is a members organisation and it's also a charity. We use the funds we raise through projects like Internship Works and a membership fees to lobby for change and equality at the highest level and make sure we have programmes like internships and Connect to Work. And inclusive trading is the trading arm of BASE. We provide training and consultancy services in a range of different things, and the income that generates supports BASE as a charity. I've worked for inclusive trading for 6 years as an associate, which is why I might have seen some of you before. And before that, I was a member of BASE because I managed a supported employment service and a supported internship provision in Gateshead. So I am currently managing the Internship Works programme, Lot 2, which is all about training, which is why I'm the person that you'll get emails from if you're applying for these training, and I pick up all the queries, do you mean all the queries from staff who are applying. If you don't know about Internship Works, this is a DFE funded programme that has many lots and objectives. We are only focused on lot 2, which is around the training to job coaches. Initially that was 700 over the last 2 academic years. The contract was picked up again this May to do another 400 job coach training. Now that might be 200 job coaches both doing training in systematic instruction and SET. So those 400 training places offer both training courses. The training is in line with the occupational standards for supported employment. I'll explain what they are if anyone is unclear about those during the call, and reflect the key principles that we want job coaches following in the internship guidance. This presentation was put together yesterday. All the guidance in here is the most up-to-date DFE guidance for supported internships. So in this session, we're just going to look at the link between supported employment and supported internships and make sure everyone's absolutely clear where the supported employment techniques training and the occupational standards come in to supported internship world. The difference between the 2 courses that we're offering, the SET course and the TSI course, the course content for both courses, how the booking process works and how DFE funding works, the availability of courses live as of last night, and what we expect from people and their employers when they're doing the training. We are supported by Rabab and Lucy. NDTI are another provider of Internship Works. There's 3 of us delivering the wider objectives of Internship Works: BASE, NDTI and DFN Project Search, and they're kindly supporting me today. They'll pick up any questions that you've got in the chat, and they've very kindly left a bio for you. So anyone who's been in supported employment a while knows where the values came from. The National Occupational Standards and the values we work to were originally developed in the 70s. They were part of wider agendas around personalisation and movements in social work to make sure people weren't marginalised and excluded. The interns that you are working with now, if you went back even 30 years, chances were they were in an institution. They weren't going to college. They certainly weren't going in the workplace and having an employer and all the things that we know are exciting about being at work. So a lot of our values and the occupational standards devised from the original movement in the 70s of how we get people into work, because it's an evidence-based model. And over time, we've applied this model. We've got our 5 stages of supported employment. The 2 arrows and the flowchart are the same thing. So the 5 stages is the European model of supported employment. It doesn't belong to BASE. It is a recognised model. And if you were practicing supported employment in Sweden or Belgium or Spain or even and worldwide, Australia, there's a World Association for Supported Employment, we all do it the same way. But the BASE model shows that these 5 stages do not happen sequentially. It's written as a flowchart, but it's not a flowchart. You should be working with your employee, or for you guys, your intern, at the same time as you work with employers. So you are constantly engaging with employers and finding out what they need, and you're constantly engaging with people who need work, so you can match them together. This is something else we cover on the course. So that's what all of that is, and why we are bringing them together. Supported employment runs through supported internships. Supported internships came from the supported employment model. And when the pilots were first launched in the UK, they were predominantly operated by supported employment services like myself, because the model runs all the way through it, and I'll explain how. If you hopefully recognise the text on the left-hand side of the screen, and I'm hoping you're all looking at that and it is looking immediately familiar, that is the DfE guidance. That is the guidance you have been given as providers as your conditions of funding. This is what DfE expect from supported internship provision. That job coaches are trained in line with the National Occupational Standards for Supported Employment. So right from the very opening paragraph of the supported internship guidance, job coaches should be trained in supported employment. Vocational profiling, which is stage 2 in the supported employment model, is mentioned throughout the internship guidance, and it specifically identifies that this is not just about doing a questionnaire type application form with a young person. It is an active process which is built up over a period of time, observing people in different settings, having conversations with the person and bringing in information from other sources. We cover that in the supported employment techniques training, how to effectively and correctly vocationally profile. Employer engagement is mentioned in the guidance, and specifically the business case for supported employment. If you don't know what the business case for supported employment is, it's a very specific list of information and data we have pulled together about why supported employment makes business sense. And none of it says because it's the right thing to do. There is a business case for what we do. That is delivered on the supported employment techniques training. We talk about job analysis and that we don't have a job match without job analysis. Again, this is a very specific methodology. It's not the same as downloading a job description. That is covered in the job matching stage. And then we look at systematic instruction, that job coaches should be trained in supported employment and systematic instruction so they can train people appropriately in the workplace. So you can see there that although these two things seem very different, they are actually identical. All of the things in your funding guidance is in the supported employment journey. The only difference is it is wrapped within an education programme and a curriculum, and that you don't go to job search in the earliest opportunity, which is core value number 5 in the occupational standards. You've got a year's grace to figure things out, but they are more identical than they are not. So what do we offer? We offer supported employment techniques training. This is a 6-day course that covers the full 5-stage model of supported employment. This is the curriculum over the 6 days, and you can see where I've put in bold where we will address and train your staff in the very specific areas and language that is in the funding guidance. So we look on day 1, we cover the National Occupational Standards and what they are. And it's really important that people do attend. Well, they have to attend all the days, but day 1 is the most important because those core values that we look at determine how we approach everything else in that 5-stage model. And we look at how we engage people. And in day 1, we specifically look at barriers caused by things like family, finance and travel and how they might be overcome. Day 2 is about vocational profiling and effective action planning. Day 3 and day 4 is about engaging employers in supported employment. We do teach staff about the business case. They all get a copy of the business case. We give them an activity to use the business case to write a pitch that you might use to engage employers to work with you and provide internship placements. And then from day 3 and day 4, we start looking at job matching and how we match interns with appropriate opportunities. We cover job analysis there. We also cover health and safety and how to make sure workplaces are safe and how to be confident at assessing whether a workplace is suitable. And then day 6 is all about that in-work support, when to job coach, when to fade, different types of support that you might put in to help an intern be independent. And we will provide an introduction to TSI. So that is just 1 hour of that 3-hour workshop session where we explain what the principles are. We do not teach staff how to be confident and competent in TSI on day 6, because it's a huge course in itself, but they will know what it is. TSI, training in systematic construction, is a very, very, very niche specialist area. Not everyone can pick up TSI and deliver it. I've worked in supported employment for 12 years and I did my TSI 10 years ago, and I'm a teacher and I wouldn't feel confident delivering TSI. It is really niche and it's delivered by people who've worked with individuals with learning disabilities and physical disabilities for a long period of time and seen this training applied in lots of different contexts. We have 5 different providers who are specialists in this area. They all deliver slightly differently, which is why on the application form you will see some use e-learning, some are face-to-face, some have a block of 5 days, some have a block of 4 and a follow-up day. So when people are emailing us and saying, what are the dates and times, it differs per provider. And we trust those providers when we've given them a list of applicants to make contact with the applicants and make them really aware of how they are delivering their training. But all of the courses cover the sort of history and involvement of TSI and how it, came to be in our practice. And it includes a practical task where the job coach trains an intern to complete something complex. And for all our trainers, it's the assembly of a bike brake. We choose a bike brake because it's topographical, which will make sense if you do TSI, and that it is something that is pretty complex. So all trainers use bike brake. Because this has a practical element, one of the issues we've seen are people on the course who will say, I haven't got an intern to train. And our immediate response to that is, well, if you don't have an intern to train, why are you on the job coach training course? It's expected that everyone on this course has access to an individual that they can sit with. Another question we get is, I'm home based, do I bring the intern into my house? No, absolutely not. You will need to be somewhere like a college or a workplace while you are training this young person. If your member of staff books on one of the face-to-face courses, and I believe there's only 2 left, one in Mornington and one in Solihull, then the hosts have people with learning disabilities lined up for your member of staff to train. So if they're going on a face-to-face course, you don't have to take their own with them. It's just if you're remote. So hopefully everyone's with me so far. I haven't seen any questions, though I'm confident Rabab would be on them if they were. And Lucy's shaking her head. So the process to enrol. We have revised this from last time. Last time it was a Microsoft Word document that people downloaded and filled in online. From a streamlining point of view, like I said, I'm an associate for BASE. I do a lot of the delivery myself. I do a lot of the consultancy. I am only contracted on this 1 day a week. So it needs to be slick, and there's no reason why it can't be slick. So getting people to send in a Word form and transferring that data into something else, isn't brilliant for GDPR perspective because you're sending Word applications, but it's also not very time efficient. So what we've come up with is a Microsoft form. And one of the primary issues on the last round of funding were people were leaving sections of this form blank. You can't do that on the Microsoft form. It makes you fill in each section before you move on to the next. The previous forms were filled in by members of staff who chose what dates they wanted to do or gave some suggestions based on what was on the website, and then their manager was supposed to fill in the form. Another issue we had was managers weren't filling them in. Managers weren't aware of the training staff are booked on. So we've changed that around. The manager nominates a member of staff to have a place on this training. They tell me whether they want supported employment techniques, TSI, or both. I then email that member of staff. They are sent in bulk, they're BCC'd, but they're from my personal email address, saying your manager has nominated you for either supported employment techniques training or TSI training or both. And I will show you an example of that email. They are then invited to apply. When they click on the application link, the dates of courses that we still have places on are on that form. And that's a live form. Every time a course fills up, I remove a selection of dates. So if they're ticking for a place, those places are definitely still available. They are asked to choose 3 places. The reason for that is we have 12 places per TSI course. If I've got 3 or 4 places left, and first come, first served, they get filled. If your member of staff hasn't given me an alternative, I won't guess. The places are too expensive and I have too few of them to guess if you're going to be available. What will usually happen is I will email you and your member of staff with a copy of their form and say, you've only selected one date. Unfortunately, that's full. Can you pick another one? But it makes us much quicker if you select 3. Once I've got that form, and I do this once a week, so the turnaround is pretty quick. You shouldn't wait any longer than 2 weeks between the management nomination coming in and me making a decision about eligibility. I will go through the eligibility screen, but as soon as we make that decision and allocate the person to a course, the day that they are allocated to the course, regardless of how far in the future it is, I will email that person, copy to the manager, saying, you have got a place on this course. These are the dates you need to save in your diary. The cancellation policy is on there and our expectations are on there. And then there's a follow-up 2 to 3 weeks before the course starts from Simon, who was our supported intern last year and is now our apprentice, saying, this is your link to join. Here's an electronic copy of the study pack. Here are the details of your tutors, and we post a physical copy of that study pack out. If this is a TSI course, the bike break is posted out. Because the bike breaks are expensive, the trainer will want to speak to the member of staff before posting it to make sure that they're going to be in. We have had quite a few hold-ups where trainers are contacting staff trying to arrange delivery of the bike break and they're not getting a response. So that is something to be aware of. If you've had the email from me saying that the dates are there, there is no need to chase that start date link. You are on that email is sent because you are on a register. The place is definitely there. When we're sending join instructions, some courses are slow to fill. So if we send the join instructions 3 weeks before and there's still 3 courses to fill, Simon has to go back and do them again. So if we wait as long as possible until the course is full, but that shouldn't, we can get a study pack out to people a week before the course starts. We can get the email link out 2 or 3 days before. The place is saved if you've got that email from me. So what happens next? I need to decide if somebody is entitled to the training. So we've got a list of priority areas. You will see that has increased massively. It's because we haven't had the applications. This has been live for enrolment since May. So as the applications have been slow, we've cast our net wider. There's quite a large list of priority areas now. So if you weren't eligible in July or August or even beginning of September, look again, because there's quite a big list. So if you're a priority area, you're in. First choice date, first come, first served. And they're all done first come, first served, which is the beauty of Microsoft Forms. I can see when the application was submitted. Or if you've had a SICWAF and it's been identified as a need, so a reviewer has come in and said, you know what, the staff need training, this is affecting the interns, then you become a priority, even if you're not a priority area. So if you've had a SICWAF, and that's why there's a box on the management consent form saying whether or not you've had a SICWAF. I can go back, if you're not a priority area, but you've told me you've had a SICWAF, I will go and look at your SICWAF and see whether or not staff training was identified as a need. And if it was, I will allocate you a course. Or if you're a new provider, you weren't around during the first round of funding, then that's our third priority. We are capping the places at 4 places per provider, unless you cover more than 1 local authority area, to make sure that's fairly distributed. That's 4 places on TSI and 4 places on SET. We have had some services put in 8 applications for both, and while we'd like to fulfil that, we have to make sure funding is evenly spread. So, short notice places. There is a box on the form that I will show you in a bit, where if you are not a priority and you're not a new provider, or you've had 10 of your staff through training historically, you can tick a box to say, I'm not a priority, but I'll take any possible course dates. So where people cancel on a course within a 10-day window, and I have to fill that course to let it run, we're allowed to fill the course with non-priority if it means the course is going to fill. We don't want wasted places. So anyone who's applied and isn't a priority, I've got them highlighted in a different colour. They are on my radar. The second I have a cancellation on a course that they've indicated they can do, I will email them and say, places become available. It's worked very well. We have one college, obviously I can't name, who were very open from the start. They had lots of training last time. They're a big college. They've got new staff. They're not a priority area. And they said, any courses you've got that you can offer us will be grateful. All their staff applied. And every time I've had a cancellation and I've emailed and said, would you like a place? They've taken it, which has helped us because the courses have been full. It's helped them because they've got this very valuable training for free that they wouldn't have got otherwise. But they've been really flexible. I think I've emailed them twice on a Thursday or Friday saying there's a course next week and they've sent someone in. So if you're willing to do that, then that really helps you if you're not a priority. This is the email that staff get when you nominate them. Because of the volumes we're talking about, I can't send individually and copy you in. It is sent as a bulk email. This email has evolved. It originally just said that you received this email because your manager's requested a place for you. Please apply using this link. I've had to add on the top, please read this email carefully. We've had a lot of staff applying for a different course to the one you've nominated them for. So you've nominated them for SET and they've applied for TSI, or you've nominated them for both and they've only applied for one. Because we're dealing with hundreds of applications, I can't double check that your member of staff has done what you've told them to do. So I've added, please read the email carefully. Please check the dates you apply for are acceptable with your manager. We've had staff booking onto courses. Then the managers come back and said, I've got 3 members of staff on one course. I can't let 3 members of staff go on the same day, and I absolutely understand that. But those staff apply for those places. So that's up to you as a provider to say to the staff, confer with each other, make sure you can cover each other, apply for dates that you can do. Because again, with the best will in the world, and especially if you're a large provider, I don't know if your staff work on the same shifts or work on the same internship program. So they need to do that. And then please make sure you're booking on the correct courses. When I send the email confirmation saying you've got a place, I know I get about 10% of those emails come back saying, thank you, but I can't do day 4. Is that a problem? Or I can't do day 1. And then I have to go back and go, it is a problem. You need to book again. This is the email I get if you've got a place. I send them a congratulations. I even send it where you click the button and it does streamers and things. Because life's better with a little bit of excitement in your email inbox. Congratulations, you've got a place. These are the times, these are the dates, and then we've got the expectations. You must attend all the sessions. You must be relieved from your workplace duty. You cannot do this training alongside supporting interns, being on call for safeguarding, sitting in an office with everyone else. You must have a laptop and a camera. This is an interactive training course. It is not a webinar. We are replicating what we used to do in a classroom, but online. And if people join from a phone, they can't access the breakout rooms. They can't access the polls, and it's completion of the polls that leads to them getting a CPD accredited certificate at the end, or they are getting, because they're on their mobile phone signal, they're getting booted in and out of the Teams call all the time. It has to be a computer and they have to have a camera, and we have to be able to see them. Because it's an accredited course, we need to see that they are there. If they've got we're anticipating that everyone on this course is comfortable being seen, because they are appointed in a role where they are training a vulnerable person about workplace etiquette and how to behave. They're not the intern, they're the job coach. But if somebody was for any reason incredibly uncomfortable being on camera, we could look at that. We could maybe look at avatars. You haven't had to yet, but we need to see that you're there. And from a course engagement point of view, as a teacher, I can tell so much by seeing someone. I can tell whether I've lost them 10 slides back. I can tell if they're tired and they need a break. I can tell if they're lost off and they don't want to say something. I can tell if they're distracted. So cameras on. This is a requirement and it's clearly stated. And then we've got the cancellation policy. If you don't want to attend this training anymore, they must have 10 days notice. And this is so I can fill the place. Or there's an admin charge of £150. This is going up to 800. It hasn't gone up yet. It's going up, I think, by the end of the week. It will be £800 because the course place costs us £800. You get your join instructions and Teams links about 2 weeks before the course begins, and this is who your trainers are. So they can go on LinkedIn, have a little look if they want. So how it's paid for, it's not free training, it's funded training. The money is coming from somewhere. You just don't have to pay for it. BASE pays for the training course. And as I said right at the beginning, BASE is a charity. We have a moral obligation to spend our members' funds appropriately and to make sure we lobby for change for the world to be a fairer place. We don't have it to throw away, no more than you as providers do. We're all in the same economic conditions. We pay for that course and we pay for those trainers. We book the course. We then nominate your staff to those places. So at this stage, your member of staff has been given essentially a granted place of £800 by BASE. Then, when they complete the training course and the impact survey, we claim that money back from DfE. So where the risk is to BASE, if you book a place for your member of staff and we give them that place and they don't turn up, we can't claim that from DfE. That has come out of our pocket. But in the bluntest terms, it isn't our problem, it's yours. It was your member of staff that wasn't available. It was you that changed your mind. It becomes very difficult when people are poorly and things happen, because they do happen. What we'd really like to see is, as a provider, if you've got someone booked onto a training course and they've been given this funding and they cancel with a week's notice, where I'm really going to struggle to fill that course, put somebody else in their place. Then the course isn't wasted, because where we're at the moment is we've got a high level of short notice cancellations. We haven't had a single course run yet with a full cohort. On every single course, we've lost someone before it began or during the course. I'll show you a register in a moment. I've got a course run at the moment, a set course of 22 people on that course have not completed the full course. Over the whole contract, 10% is around about where we're running on cancellations, and it's just too high. The main issue with that as well is a funding implication for BASE. So those two places this week at the moment have a financial cost to us on one course for £1,600. But we've got to meet this target of 400 people. And say it was 100 people and we planned 5 courses of 20 to train these 100 people, and 10% didn't turn up. Then we've only trained 90 instead of 100. So there's bigger implications than just the wasted money. It's hard. I'm putting this across because you can only appreciate the perspective that you're in. And when we're sent an email saying there's going to be a charge and this is a huge problem, can you fill a place? I don't know if it's as clear as it could be to providers what a big issue this is for BASE. We are putting things in place about this. We will be increasing the charge to £800, but we will also be doing what they do on the SICWAFs, where you cancel a SICWAF. I'm surprised I haven't had a question yet asking what a SICWAF is. If you cancel a SICWAF, we pass on your information to DfE, so they know that you booked training for your staff and then pulled it. Because at the moment, where the place we're at right now is this is a huge problem and we don't know how to fix it, which is one of the reasons for today's training. These are the ground rules that we give to staff. They need to attend all the sessions. They need to have their cameras on so we can see them, we can engage with them, we know they're there. We give them loads of opportunities to speak. They can raise their hand, they can interrupt, they can use the chat function. We make sure we've got a low enough course number where everyone can get involved and interact. We give a break at least every hour. They get 2 10-minute breaks during the set training. They can ask any question they want about internship and they will get a live answer, or we'll go and find out. They also get given lots of resources. We really struggle with people sticking to these ground rules, a lot more than you'd expect. We have people sitting tapping on emails and we'll ask them a question and it's like, sorry, I didn't hear any of that. Or we have people turning up with 3 or 4 of them in a room sharing a computer and they're on mute and you can see them having a conversation between the 4 of them. And then you go on to do an activity and say, right, you're going to go into a breakout room, you're going to produce a presentation, and then, oh, sorry, we didn't hear that. Some of the issues we've had, we've really been quite shocked. Again, I'm putting it back to all of the people on this training have been employed to teach someone who's very vulnerable to learn how to behave at work. We've had staff using unsuitable equipment, unsuitable locations. In every single course we've had at least one person who's turned up on one of the days in a car. Didn't have access to an office, didn't have access to a workspace, wasn't allowed to work at home. I'm sitting in my car for 3.5 hours trying to take part in a training course, which is equivalent to level 3 on a mobile phone. And then we're putting them in breakout rooms and asking them to work. We're asking them to open their study packs. We're asking them to look at risk assessment documents, vocational profiles, and they can't access them because they're sitting in a car on their phone. On multitasking during training, I can't tell you how many people have been on the call and we've gone for a break and we've come back from the break. They're in their car driving with the training course on a mobile phone on Teams in a cradle in their phone, which is exceptionally dangerous, as well as not being, and I know this sounds extreme, it's not. These are common issues that we've had. Of people feeling because they're on training and they're at home that it's a day off, and it's not a day off, they're at work. So people coming on the call saying, oh, by the way, I've got my child at home today. If they want their sausage and mash, I'm going to have to leave the call. If it's not acceptable at work, it's not acceptable on our training either. And people clearly answering their emails or running off, oh, sorry, I'm just off to deal with the safeguarding. Well, then you could be gone 10 minutes or you could be gone an hour. Cameras off and lack of engagement. It is complex, and once you fall behind on some of the topics and areas, it's very easy to disengage. Staff booking on the wrong course. Send the email, congratulations, you're on this course. I get a phone call or an email, hi Holly, why have you booked me on this course? And every time I'm able to reply with a copy of the application form saying, because this is the one you asked for. I don't know why it happens, but I get at least 2 a week. Our staff booking on the course dates they can't do. Hi Holly, this is brilliant, thank you so much, I'm so excited, I can't do day 4. Then why did you book on that course? You have to do all the days. Staff providing incorrect address details, so providing the details of their college campus or their head office, and then we send them the study pack. They turn up on day 1, have you got your study pack? Oh no, it's gone to the college, I'm at home. Or the bike breaks, if they've been sent out during school holiday times, there's no one, we'll have to get a different address. So make sure staff are given the correct address details. And the last one, and I get 1 or 2 of these a week, if you provide job coaching to an intern, you are entitled to this training. If you provide job coaching to a graduate, someone who used to be an intern and haven't got a job, and then they come to your service, you're entitled to the training, because we're still training job coaches who are going to help supported interns, whether they're currently on or they've just finished, get into paid work. Some staff do job coach. They might also be the service manager. So when I managed my service, I would job coach on that first couple of months when all the interns start and they all need full-time support. We'd roll up our sleeves and we'd all job coach. Some people I think are getting confused about their job title. So there's 3 boxes that say I'm a job coach working with current interns, I'm a job coach working with graduate interns, or I am not a job coach. And staff are ticking, I am not a job coach. And then I have to email them back and say, you've said that you're not a job coach, so I haven't got your application, but your manager said you were. And then they'll come back and go, oh yeah, sorry, it's because I'm a support worker in the classroom, but I job coach interns every Friday. Right, so you are a job coach. Make sure that staff, if they don't job coach, don't nominate them. If they do job coach, make it clear to them this training is there to help them on the times when they are in the workplace supporting people. So these are the current live courses that we have for supported employment techniques. I have 1 place left on the course on the 24th of November. And I've got quite good availability on the rest of the courses at the moment. And as I said, there's that option of I am not in a priority local authority area. I am willing to consider any dates offered. So I haven't looked at the applications since Monday. I'm expecting a busy week because of half term last week. Everyone will be applying this week. I would say that course at the top is probably gone, and you're looking at next year. So those are the current live courses. And for TSI, so the Northwest course is in Warrington on the 24th to the 27th of November. Believe I have 2 places left. The Commissioner at Warrington Local Authority is pulling together names and nominations, so I'm not 100% sure how many places I've got. the course on the 8th to the 11th of December. On Monday, I had 6 places left, but I checked bang up to date enrolment figures last night, and 5 people have applied for that course. So I suspect when I get a chance to look at the applications this afternoon and tomorrow, that course is going to be gone. All the other ones, the 12th to the 16th of January and the 20th of February, the third one down, that only had 1 place left, and I think that's been snapped up. So there are places on the 12th to the 15th of January, e-learning, and then the 2, this is where you can see there's a variation in the providers. So the 12th to the 16th and the 20th of February, that's with Mitchell and Ben Kahn. That they deliver a block of 4 and then a single day. The one with e-learning, that's with Joe and Barry Jones. They've developed their own e-learning platform so people can log in, go through at their own pace, the background and the history, and then just turn up for two sets of 2 training days online. And the one, the 13th to the 16th and the 27th of February, that's with Liz Garnon. She follows the same model. So you can see how I can't give an exact answer when you're asking for things like dates and times. All the providers do it slightly differently in a way that works for them because they're professionals and they've been delivering this training for over a decade. I think on the course on the 12th to the 15th, I've got 11 places. The 13th to the 16th of January, I had 8 or 9. The face-to-face in Solihull still has 16. Back of a cigarette packet maths, I think there's about 40 TSI course places left. So these are the issues that we've had, or the frequently asked questions from managers. My most common email from managers is, I've nominated a member of staff and they haven't heard anything back. The reason for this is you nominate your staff and I email them and ask them to apply and they don't apply. Sorry if I lost, are we still on the slideshow? Yeah. I've had 320 manager nominations to date. I've had 266 applications. So out there somewhere are 54 members of staff who've been invited to apply for training and haven't. And I feel for managers when they send me a very polite but firm email saying, I've nominated my staff and you haven't got back to us, and I have to reply to them with an email attached saying, I invited your member of staff to apply weeks ago and they haven't. I'd say possibly the emails are going to junk, but because I'm sending them BCC, they're going to lots of recipients and the other recipients are managing to apply. So they're getting the email and it's not coming from a generic inbox, it's coming from my inbox, holly.callagher at base-uk.org. So it's coming from me. And nobody's actually come back and said the email wasn't received. They've all come back and went, oh, sorry, they missed it. So if you've nominated a member of staff and you haven't heard anything, get them to check their junk mail, maybe, get them to check their inbox. They will have heard from me in at least the 10-day window after you sent that application in, because I work on this once a week. And I've got a task flow, process flow, and the first thing I do when I log in for my base internship works day is look at who you've nominated as managers and get those nomination forms out. So potentially they could come back while I'm on shift. Another one I get a lot, people phoning me, email me saying, you've booked me on the course twice. You've emailed me and said I've got a place in November, then you've emailed me and said I've got a place in January. And then my answer usually is, can you put those emails side by side and check? Does one say supported employment techniques and one say TSI? And every time someone's told me they booked me on a course twice, that has been the reason. They haven't realised they booked on 2 separate training courses. Or sometimes they book on two separate courses, but they choose dates that overlap. So they'll choose the TSI course that runs on the 8th and 9th of December and the SET course that runs on the 8th and 9th of December. So I book them on because, you know, with Best One in the World, when you get to 320 nominations, they're just names. And I might not immediately see the clash. But if someone emails me back and says it's a clash, I'll move them. Or if they've given me lots of choices of course dates, I do look to make sure that they don't. Another one is, why can't we see the course dates in advance? It would be much easier to plan. I agree it would be, but those course dates won't be live. You'll know yourself it takes 2 or 3 days to change a website. These course places are going at a rate of knots. If I just leave them on the Microsoft form. They are live. If you can see it and you can apply for it, then there's still spaces on there. If it's gone, there's no places left. It also means that if I get a high number of cancellations or even just one on a course in the future that had been full, I will put that course option back on the form. And it's that difference of I can get that information out immediately, as opposed to a website having a 3 or 4 day lag where you're never looking at live information. And we don't want people to get too hung up and say, right, my staff member wants to do this specific course. If there's 5 places left on that course and 6 people have applied before you, you're not getting a place on that course, because we've got to be fair and we've got to be consistent. And the most consistent way to do it is first come, first served, applying those priority areas that DFE have asked us for. Another question, why can't staff switch partway through the course? So I've provided some registers here. This is our actual register. So you see here, I've got course number 8 in the top corner being delivered by Mel and Vinny. There's 20 people on that course, all unknown to each other, all going through that Tuckman storm, norm reform, getting to know each other, getting to work together in a group, getting to feel that they're in a safe space where they can share ideas and they can share good practice. And we don't want more than 20. If you're all from an education background, teaching 20 people online is a big ask. And for TSI, when you're putting together breaks and things, 12 is the right number. I can't put 24, 25 people on a course. It isn't fair on the trainers. It means that we don't run to time. When we're doing activities where we want people to feed back and give their personal experiences, it takes a lot longer to get through 25 people than it does 20. So you'll see on that register 2 people haven't turned up for day 1, and usually would say at that point, like, there's no point in coming at day 2 because you've missed the important bit. But one of them randomly turned up yesterday for day 5, and the person who missed day 1 got the start date wrong and just turned up for day 2. I've offered them a place on a mop-up course. I have a mop-up course running at the end of the contract, and I will gather up anyone who missed sessions with a valid reason. If they've missed a set course, one of the days, I will gather them up and put them on the mop-up course. But the reason, and one of the questions is, well, why can't you just put them on the next course if the content's the same? And the reason is, technically, they'd be taking 2 places. So if I've only got 20 places per course, and say we just look at the person second from the bottom on the first register who's took day 1, if I then put them on the next course, they've got a day 1, they're having twice the funding. I can only claim 1 place for them, so I can't allocate them 2. The mop-up course is running essentially at 0 cost to base, because I'm delivering it as part of my contract. So yeah, that is why they can't just switch between courses. Haven't got the capacity, haven't got the, doesn't fit in with the team dynamics, it doesn't fit in with what we need to do. If they miss a day for no valid reason, if they're poorly, I'll rebook them. Or yesterday, 3 of the people on that course could not get online. It just, they came on and it dropped off, and their signal was, I don't know what happened, but there was a Teams issue yesterday. That's not their fault. They did everything they could to address it. They're going to be up at a mop-up course. But if it's just like you've booked a member of staff on a course and then you want to pull them to cover for someone else, that is, we're not unfeeling to that situation. But that is your issue and your problem. It can't become basis problem because we've got so many of you to accommodate. So if you miss a course because it's just inconvenient for your organisation for that person to attend, they won't be booked onto the mop-up course. That is for genuine, unavoidable, unforeseeable situations, and you will get charged £800. So bear that in mind with your staff. TSI, there is no mop-up. So TSI, if your member of staff misses one of their TSI dates, that's it. If there's a genuine reason, so we had someone poorly yesterday and they were sick, then we won't charge. If the manager can demonstrate that it was a genuine absence, we won't charge, but you won't be offered another course. The opportunity's gone. So pick your most robust people. Because we can't, every single course is run by a different trainer. So if somebody's done, it was Liz's course yesterday, I can't take someone who's missed day 2 of Liz's course and bung them on day 2 of Mitch's course or day 3 of Joe's. The curriculum isn't the same. So TSI, not switching. Yeah, You miss your course, you miss your course. We don't record sessions. People have asked if they can catch up on a recording. First reason is it's CPD accredited, and part of our CPD accreditation is that it is a taught course with live tutors. It's interactive. We assess learning, teaching and learning as we go. It's a certificated outcome. We can't replace our tutors with a video recording no more than you can replace your teaching staff in your institution with a video recording. They have to be there live. And people are sharing information, they're sharing their experiences, they're asking questions. We find that people feel they're in a safer space where they can share and they're more comfortable having their cameras on if they're not being recorded and watched back later. We get a lot, and haven't received confirmation of my application. I struggle with this. If you haven't heard anything for a long time and your member of staff's applied, do get in touch. Usually, if somebody hasn't received confirmation, they've only left it a week, because I work for base every week, and that day will depend on what they need from me from an operational perspective. So normally I work Mondays, but next Monday I'm doing the SICWAF, so it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. I will reply with a place within 10 to 14 days if you're eligible. If you haven't heard anything from me, it's because you're not eligible and you're just sitting on a waiting list until I've got news. There is, you can see there on the bottom of the screen where I've said you can print a copy of your answers after you submit. When you put in your Microsoft application form, if you click submit and then click print and print it to PDF, you can download your own confirmation of your application. So again, it's just logistically 260 something applications so far, only one of me. I can't email everyone and say, yes, I've received your form. It just isn't feasible, but you can print off your own. And then the final frequently asked question that I have, the one that comes in the most, is I haven't received my certificate. The course certificates are generated on receipt of the impact survey, and the impact survey is 8 to 12 weeks after the course is finished. So DFE's measure of success is not only that the person's been trained, but that training has had an impact on your provision, either in the quality of your outcomes, confidence of staff. There's several measures that we're looking at of whether or not it's had an impact. We have to allow time for staff to digest what they've been taught, apply it to their practice, and then evaluate their practice. So we give 8 to 12 weeks. They get a survey sent by me that says, please complete this survey. If you don't complete the survey, you don't get a certificate. Once the survey's been received, 2 or 3 weeks after it's been received, our lovely Simon, our intern turned apprentice, will send out the certificates. If you've sent in your impact survey and you're quite sure it's been a while, please do chase up, because we're all capable of making mistakes or getting email addresses wrong, things like that, because they're sent out electronically. But usually these emails I get saying I haven't received my certificate, I get them 3 or 4 weeks after someone's completed the course and they haven't picked up the information on the application form and in the presentation that says the certificate comes after the impact survey, and the impact survey is 8 to 12 weeks. So apply online. Another, if I didn't have these frequently asked questions, I don't think there'd be any emails left in my box. I usually get an email at least twice a week saying, I want to apply for a place. Great, get online and do it. Don't wait for me to reply and send you a link to something you can find in Google because you're waiting for my base day. You can get online now. The earlier you get this in, the earlier your staff get form, the more likely you are to get training. Everyone applies through the same way. There's no sneaky favours. There's no back doors or side entrances via me. If you want a place, you've got to go online and apply for it. That is the only way in, the only one door to make it fair and equitable for all. We have questions. I can stay online up until 12:45. If anyone's got any questions, use the raise hand function. Scott.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for that, Holly. So I've been nominated by my manager. I've had the email from yourself to register for the training. I've completed the Microsoft form and I've put the 3 dates from the list that you provided on this call. And I did that yesterday. So do you have a kind of would once a decision's been made based on the eligibility, will the email, the confirmation email, will that come from yourself?
It does, yeah. And my next working for base tomorrow afternoon. So it might be tomorrow afternoon if your priority, if you meet those thresholds, if there isn't 4 people at your organisation who've already applied for the training, if you're in a priority local authority area, then I will come back to you either Friday or my next internship work stay next week is Wednesday. So you should never be waiting more than a week.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of answered my next question. I don't know if you'd be able to tell us in terms of like priority area, but I'm under Tameside Council.
Yeah, so and I emailed Joanne.
Yep.
Because I think you've had 6 nominations, so you are going to go on my reserves list.
Me personally go on the reserve list. Okay.
You'll go on the reserve list.
Yeah, because I was looking in my junk email when you mentioned about receiving that email. I had something come through in my junk, and it said from Joe and Barry. But I don't know if it was just some further information about TSI. It didn't look to be like the email that you showed us on this call. Do you know, the email that you get when you've.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let me do this very carefully without accidentally sharing something I shouldn't share. Let's whisk that screen away.
I've had that same email through, Scott, from Joe and Barry. I think it's for after the project and sort of, I think they're just sort of sharing information about training for the future.
Right.
I think that's what I took it as.
Yeah, I don't think they've got your email from me. So when I'm building a register of applications, I'm really conscious that I'm handling your personal data. And we've also been asked to gather demographics about if people are willing to share around ethnicity, marital status, gender identity. That is just to make sure that DFE will be anonymised. So I don't mind if you're cohabiting or, have multiple marriages. It's got nothing to do with me. What I'll do at the end is I remove all your names. I take that equality data and send it anonymised to DFE so they can see that did we pitch our services to everyone equally. But because there's so much data on those forms, I can't just share them with anyone. And that's another beauty of it being on Microsoft Forms. It's on a shared drive where only I have access and the training team for emergency reasons or whatever. So those trainers haven't got your email from me. I build a register, and then 3 weeks before the course is due to start, I send the trainers your name, your email, your postal address for your equipment, your manager's name in case we were worried about you and we needed to get in touch, and any learning needs that you've declared that the trainer has to be aware of, which is a different column to declaring whether you have a disability. So I haven't got you. I don't think I've got you on a training course yet. So that sounds like a marketing email from their own database. Yeah, I haven't got you on one yet. And what I'll do, Scott, is it's first come, first served. So I will count the applications from Tameside. I have had 6, but I don't know if they've all been processed. One of your colleagues rang me earlier to find out what was going on with their application, and the ball was in their court. You can get into that with them. Technically, they're behind you in the queue. But I'll leave that internally for you to sort out who gets the places. Next question from anyone. Oh, yes, I can see. Zoe.
Yeah, hi. Nissa, I just wanted to check. So I work for Cheshire East Local Authority, and I thought it was you could have up to 4 people attend the training from different providers. So when you say providers, I thought you meant like education providers or different settings delivering the programme. Is that right or is that wrong?
So it's from an organisation. So say my organisation, Gateshead Council, applied for training. It isn't 4 places capped for Gateshead as a borough. It's 4 places for Gateshead
right, that's
Council.
right then. So I did understand that. Right. So we've got a new education provider that's looking to launch their supported internship provision for the first time, and they've got a couple of members of staff who'd applied for the training. But I think this might have been maybe, I don't know, before half term, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. if they were then to search now back for an email from yourself, if they didn't sort of book onto that training, do they need to start the whole process again, or would they be able to sort of activate their, their sort of training opportunities from now and what's live and what's available?
Were they a non-priority area?
No, we are back on the priority list, apparently, Cheshire East. I think I'd emailed you about them separately as well.
Is this the one where they're not currently providing internships yet?
They're not yet, no.
So they're not eligible?
Okay. Even though they're going to be preparing?
Yeah, because the funding is to make sure that interns get help now.
Right,
so
okay.
DfE may run this again. If anything happened to that programme, there's no guarantee that funding is ever going to reach those interns where we've got staff. Nobody take this in any, it's not meant as offensively. We've got staff who aren't trained and competent in training interns because they've never been trained. It's a specialist subject, and they're with interns right now, looking after them, trying to get them jobs without training, or people who are picking up interns who've been unsuccessful getting a job without training. So the priority now is to make sure people who are actually impacting on interns they are with right now are getting the training. Okay. They will be eligible if they were delivering internships. I know that sounds, ideally they would be trained. Okay. And also as well, I don't know how this is going to go down, but as a local authority and commissioners, I've been in the shoes of these providers. I've worked in FE. My background is FE. I worked for a local authority, and I started working in a local authority right when the coalition government came in and we lost all services. But I knew I had to train my staff. I had to find the budget and I had to train my staff. I think some of the problems that we've got at the moment is people aren't seeing this training as having value because it's attached as being free. And I think we've also got used to the government providing bursaries for staff. But actually every provider has an obligation, if they think their staff need training, to train their staff. So I would be reaching out to them, Zoe, and saying, look, if you've got staff that need training, BASE do offer training that you can pay for. So they're not eligible for this funding, for this very specific course, but they can apply for training and pay for it, because this money isn't guaranteed either. That's, I think, why myself and Rabab and Lucy, who have had our conversations, are so frustrated at the amount of waste on this course. I had a course with 20 spaces on that ran with only 7 people on it. And that money is gone, those opportunities have gone, and they've either cost BASE or they've cost DfE. And that's why I think collectively, as people in the sector, we need to take responsibility for saying, do you know what, we're really lucky that DfE are saying we're willing to pay for your staff, so let's not waste it.
Would there not be an opportunity, like you just said, those wasted spaces? It'd be better almost to offer them to people who are looking at supported internships for September, or they follow along support. Yeah,
that's what I've been doing. But they're not on the eligibility list at all. So really, this is a DfE question. DfE have said, to be eligible, you've got to be a job coach working on a supported internship, or you have to work with graduate interns. They've given those criteria to us. Now we've got a priority list of local authorities in a priority area, go first. Local authorities who are new providers, go first, but new providers working with interns. Local authorities that are providers that are have had a SICWAF, that have said your staff on train, go first. But they haven't put those people on an eligibility list. So really that question's the one for DfE. What are you going to do about people who want to be? But they might turn around and say, right, if you're a provider and you've identified that your staff need training, train your staff. The training is there, it's just not funded. It's hard, because I get what you're saying.
It's just a shame when I'm not the decision maker. Wasted. Yeah. So that's the same for follow-along support then. So that it's not going to be available to follow-along support. It's literally providers delivering the provision now.
No, it's follow along. The criteria is job coaches working with interns right now, job coaches working as follow-alongs for interns who've left the programme. That was the criteria. I agree. Thing is, if I'd filled those spaces with people who are not eligible, I can't claim that money back from DfE anyway, because they'll only let me claim it back. And that's why staff have to declare on the form. They take a declaration to say that they're eligible. So when we provide the data to DfE to get the money back off them, we can say we've done our due diligence and we've only spent the money where we've been told we can. It's definitely a question, ask them if they're going to. But again, devil's advocate, I'm very good at that. They might turn around and say, well, actually, you're really lucky that we're paying for it anyway, because we never used to have. That's not true. Remember when they used to pay for your cert ed and things, there was government grants available, but it's never guaranteed where it is and where it's coming from. And I think at the moment, in the times that we're in right now, I think we're lucky to have funded training, because everyone knows that there's so little money to go around. I'm not sure this programme will run again. And that's why I'm trying to, as urgently as I can, say to providers, you know, when they're applying for courses and somebody can't do it a day, like, free them up, find someone else to cover, roll up your sleeves and go in yourself, get your member of staff on this training. I can't guarantee you'll ever get this chance to have it paid for again. It cost me a fortune to train my staff. I trained all my staff in TSI and the Certificate of Support and Employment, like 10 grand training bill. So it's hard. It's really hard. We're in a hard operational situation at the moment. Any other questions? Does anyone else want to talk about money? Leanne?
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, yeah, just a very quick question, and I know I'm conscious that it was asked, but I just wanted to clarify. With the maximum 4 people on the course, is that because we're an independent college, would that be per college, or is that per local authority?
Per college.
Oh, okay.
And we're flexible on that. So we have some colleges and national providers like Short Trust, MENCAP, who cover more than one local authority area. It's not so much about your provider. It's about making sure that the money is spread evenly across the country. So if you've got, so in the Northeast, for example, I can talk about that one because it's close to me. Durham got loads of training last time because they applied for it. There's loads of skilled staff in Durham, but we didn't get many applications at all from sort of Darlington, Redcar, Cleveland. We want to make sure that if you're a supported intern in Cleveland, you've got just as good a chance of getting a trained job coach and a good job outcome as you do in Durham. So that's why I've got the priority to spread it around. But there's that caveat of different providers cover different local authorities, and different provisions still need their staff training. So we thought it was fair to say 4 places per provider. And if you're a big national provider like MENCAP or Short Trust or Petrock College in Devon, where you actually span local authority areas, we would look at that as a case by case basis.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I don't think we've disappointed anyone too much. So and I think, Lucy, could you take Zoe's comments? Have you got a feedback mechanism to DFE to consider whether or not we can have any flexibility on people who are got? Zoe, is your provider got a contract and interns to start in September?
I'm looking at my meet off. So we're looking at, so it's an SEMH specialist school. So that, again, it's an area that we're looking to develop, isn't it, across SIs? Just trying to picture myself here. So yeah, so we've got 10 young people who we are hoping are going to join the supported internship for September. And we're currently doing some like sort of prep work with them. And we've put together a programme to help support them with that transition. Sorry, what was your exact question?
Are they definitely in the bag in September?
So
going to be going to this provider?
So this is currently, these young people are currently in the 6th form of the provider, and they're going to be moving into a year 13 pathway as a supported internship. So we've got 10 young people identified. We're running some group sessions with parents, carers and the young people. So whether all 10 sign up, I can't guarantee that, but we will definitely be launching the programme in September. So with a minimum of, say, 6 young people, I imagine.
It's something we can go back to as a question, the DFE. Right now, as I said, I don't know if you were here for that slide, we've had 320 nominations for staff on training, and only 266 staff have filled in the form. I've got 50 something forms pending. If they all came in, then there's no spaces to debate anyway. But it could be a question we ask. We could, I don't know if this, it's above my pay grade to know if there's conversations happening about this training continuing.
I know that the head teacher of this school is really, really keen to get these 2 members of staff on the training. So I think even if they were told, they've got there's availability, there's a couple of slots available next week, I think she would clear timetables to make to make those young people, make those staff available to access that training.
I mean, like I said, currently it's not on the list of things that tick, but it's certainly something we can feedback, especially if they're looking to, and I think that's more NDTI would have those conversations about what future incarnations of internship works looks like. I would also suggest that if the training isn't there, if they got one of them trained in TSI, paid for it, because you can't pay for training places. If they trained one in TSI who was competent in doing task analysis, and then got the other one trained in supported employment, they'd be covering the vocational profile and the job analysis, then they could get away with just training each member of staff in one of the courses each, and then bringing them together. Because when you do TSI, it covers a brief history of supported employment. When you do supported employment techniques, it gives you a brief overview of what TSI is.
Yeah,
that would be, when we managing a provision head on, that would be the most cost effective way of doing it. And then if something came up in the future, you could always upskill the other one in the course that they didn't do. But BASE do have courses running all the time, set courses where you can buy a place.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope they would do that, but I know budgets are tight, aren't they? So we'll have to see.
They are so tight, and again, I think people have got used to having training free or low cost because we've had some brilliant initiatives recently, and I just don't know if people budget anymore for the eventuality that they might have to pay for it. And again, when you're on strip, and I've seen a lot of providers put a lot of money in mental health support doing the SICWAFs because of the impact on lockdown on young people, and it would be very hard to argue that putting your money there isn't a better spend than staff training. I think the problem is it's a lot of things we need to pay for, and there's not enough money to pay for it. But pending a lottery win, there's very little I can do in my little area of my kingdom, apart from this and making sure these course spaces don't get wasted. I mean, if there was a course going to run with absolutely no one on, there's no harm in me getting in touch so we can see what we can do.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
I will. Yeah, maybe 24 hours notice. I did have one the other week where I just looked at it and thought there was no way I am going to fill that course. Somebody contacted me on a Friday to say they weren't there on the Monday. But if I get one like that, then I think no way is anyone going to take it. I'll let you know.
Yeah, and I'll sort of feedback to this education provider that they aren't eligible at the moment, but there might be sort of a really quick turnaround of an opportunity, just so they've got a bit of a heads up.
Something work. Conscious I'm being recorded.
Thank you. I'm going to have to leave now, but thank you very much.
It's all right. I'm going to have to leave probably too. Anything else? Anyone else? No? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording, Lucy. Let everyone leave, and I'll just work out how I'm going to get this recording to you. Thank you for everyone's time.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good day.